Alright guys, today I'm going to try to get the body off of the hearse, and we're going to see if we can change out the wheels on the original transmission, because I thought the transmission was blown out. I haven't tried to drive this thing in, I'm going to say, like 12 years or so. It turns out actually the wheels are stripped out on the shaft, and it's not the transmission itself that's out. And even if something's wrong with the transmission, I do have replacement gears now and a new motor. So, because this has already had a hole knocked in it in one point, and I have glued a piece of metal over it, I know that this plastic is brittle, and I don't want to have to try to take it apart if I don't have to. So we're going to try to change this out. I took the front wheels from the donor car that one of my viewers sent me. His channel name is Prince of Macedon. I'm hoping I'm pronouncing that right. But I took the front wheels and I cut them down so they had a shorter stub on the back side of them to match the originals. And then I filled them with glue because obviously this is the most brittle plastic known to mankind. I also took the rear axle from the transmission he sent me. I heated it up, and these were round holes originally, so I heated it up and I dropped it in there to make hex fittings. So now it will be able to be driven by the original shaft. Also, I removed the wheel keepers, which these are just lightly tapped onto the axle to keep the wheel on, and then they glued this little decorative cover over it. So we're probably going to have to destroy this wheel to get it off, slide this one on, and then carefully try to tap this on. I need to come up with something like a die or a punch to put against the other side of the axle so we don't fracture anything. So that is hopefully the plan, and let's hope it goes that way, because this is the most brittle plastic. Everything will just shatter under the most minuscule force. So let's go ahead and try to get the body off and get it clean, because it is quite dirty.
Hey you! Here's Johnny.
Well, recycle this, you sugar schmuck.
Thanks for the effort, Johnny, but I think we're going to need something with a little more degreasing power. Alright, enough joking around and funny camera angles. Let's get this thing tipped over carefully, because the door is cracking. So I don't really want to further that crack any more than I need to. And we're going to have a quick look. Looks like we're only held in by 4 screws, 2 in the front and 2 back here. And I really hope that those posts aren't seized in place. For now, we're going to switch to the bench cam up here. Here's the bench cam. Try to center up the project as much as possible and start getting screws out of it. I apologize if I am blocking the shot. I just want to get this thing apart, man. I'm hoping to move this year, so this thing needs to be stabilized now. We need to get this body cleaned up. I need to figure out a way to reinforce it. And if I have to move in the middle of the project, at least it will survive to the next location. As it sits right now, I don't think it'll make it. Please don't break any tabs. Okay. Oh, I can actually just unplug everything with one plug if I can reach it. I'm afraid to wrench on this too much. There we go. Here's the freewheeling wheel. You can tell the transmission is actually broken off at one point in time. And I have repaired it with hot glue, it looks like, so we may be redoing that repair rather soon. I think all of this plastic is dried out. Man, I really hope this thing does more than drive like 6 to 10 feet and then fall apart, you know. It really looks like that's pretty much all we're going to get out of it. But any effort to save it is worth it. Now, I want to try to replace the wheel that does not drive first. And for this, I'm actually going to zoom in a little bit because I can. I used to have a remote for this, but my son ran off with it and, you know, we found it floating in the toilet, so now I get to do it manually. Thank you, son. That was mighty neighborly of you. Okay. Wow, there's a lot of hot glue and amazing goop in here. Little tiny tack hammer. Start breaking these old rims off. Man, I really don't want to split the transfer case though. Let's get some big cutters. We're just going to cut into, wow, it's just exploding into busted cereal pieces. Look at this. Watch, watch. Ruined. New Bright, why did you use this plastic? And can y'all please re-release some of these cool old cars? Dang. Not saying that Snoop DeVille was the best thing you ever made. I'm just saying it's really cool looking, and it's a shame that they are all rotting. Alright, for this part I'm going to rotate this as far down as I can, because we're going to have to tip the car up on its side and try to get a grab on this wheel retainer. So, if I set the camera down for a second and just to kind of help things, I'm going to put a little drop of silicone oil right on the end of that fitting, just to grease the rails a little bit. These usually aren't pressed on very hard. It's out. Alright, this is where things get kind of interesting. I have a punch facing up to butt against the axle, and then I'm going to drop the other keeper in place, and then I am going to tap on the keeper lightly with the tack hammer until this keeper begins to seat, which it has. And this is where things are going to get kind of very interesting. I need another punch. I'm forced to try to hold this myself while tacking the keeper down all the way to a seated position. Alright. The transmission is now repaired. Both wheels are now able to drive. It sucks that this one was missing spokes, but I just kind of improvised it with a little bit of black tape and paint. When you're dealing with parts that are unobtainable, you do what you have to do. Alright, well, while I'm waiting for the hot glue to heat up, I also need to wait for the hot water since the kids have all had their shower, and I need to wash that Hearse body. Let's see if we can find the remote to this Hearse. This thing hasn't seen the light of day in years, so I hope I still have it. And if I do, I hope it still works. This is a box of all my old junk. Really old junk. Old SR-71 Blackbird die-cast metal folding retractable landing gear. You could kill somebody with this thing if you're mad enough. This thing is sharp. Have a bat that I got from Party City when I was a kid. I got some random cars. A Mighty Mo friction drive, front wheel drive Jeep. If any of y'all want to see a further video on any of this stuff, just leave a comment down below. Here's a King Kong. The wife wants me to make a skyscraper lamp and have him hanging on the top. Here's a remote to a homemade RC car I made a number of years ago. I mean, I got all kinds of goofy stuff in here. Oh, here's the homemade RC car I made. Oh man, on-off switch, die-cast metal, opening doors. Here it is. As you can see, I've removed the center button that made all the horrible Snoop Dogg voices. And I filled it in with glue and just put a little skull and crossbones on it. Well, it looks like everything's still here. All the buttons click. Battery doors here. The only thing we're missing is the antenna. And I'm thinking it's in this box sitting next to me. Move my spare truck out of the way, which is probably going to be completed soon, hopefully. Let's see. Let's try to find... Here's another piece to the General Lee future... I don't know what the heck to do with it. Had one person interested in it, and then he dropped off the face of the earth, so not real certain what to do with it now. Sheesh. Maybe this one? It looks like this is way too big, though. Nope, that was it. Original antenna. Alright. It is complete once more. Alright guys, I'm going to try to gear up for a electronics test. I need to locate a couple more batteries. Let's see if we can get the battery door off. The remote is made of the same plastic as the chassis and will crumble very easily, so I'm going to just very carefully open this battery door. It's very clean because I never store any of my stuff with batteries in it. It's just kind of how I am. Plus I'm always needing batteries, so right off the bat, bam. I think it turns on for a few seconds and then goes out. I'm really hoping. Alright, I've got a 9.6 volt by Ultracell. This should be enough to test it, and I've got some jumper clips which I will attach to the bottom of the car. This one has an on-off switch on it for safety's sake. I'm going to turn it off. Okay, we are now in band 1. Remote and car confirmed. Just switch the power on a few times. Make sure the switch isn't tarnished. Alright, rear suspension. Come on, baby. Come on. Oh, oh, oh. Whoa. We have life. The suspension does not work at all. The motor's tarnished and dry. I can shoot some WD-40 in there and turn it. Maybe we can clean the contacts up enough for them to kind of start moving on their own. Come on, baby. Oh, it's starting. You hear it? That's one. Front suspension, come on. Ah! Look! Oh! Thank you, WD-40. and try to work them out for a minute. I think we officially have a working Snoop DeVille. Even though it's not a Snoop DeVille. We have a working Hearse, formerly known as Snoop DeVille. That motor sounds terrible. Just using a little bit of Dawn soap and just little bits of water here and there, just to keep the surface wet. Hopefully all of the years of grease will come off of this. I don't want to push down too hard because I don't want to shatter the body, because that's real easy to do. I really hate this antenna. Well, everyone, I may be eating my words. This paint came out actually pretty nice. Once it dries completely, we'll get a really good look at it. But look at that. There's nothing wrong with that. We may not have to repaint after all, which really isn't a bad thing. I definitely want to touch up a few areas of chrome, but I just have the body sitting on there for now. I'm going to let it dry. Hopefully we'll hear from Tommy in the near future, and we can get this car all wrapped back up and we can see it in action for the first time. And I'm actually going to look up what year I had the Hearse videos, because I don't even know if they're on YouTube anymore. They probably aren't. I'll have to find the original one and maybe even re-upload it. Anyway, it's about 3 in the morning. I'm going to go get cleaned up and go to bed. I'm going to say a special thanks to Alex, the Prince of Macedon, for sending me these parts. That was really cool of you. Because of you, we have new tires and the rear end works again. So, that's it. Complete functioning chassis, cleaned up body. Just waiting on the bumpers now. Stay tuned for the 3rd installment. Hopefully coming soon. Thanks for watching as always, and I'll see you guys next time.